Title: The Last Signal. The sky over New Haven was a bruised purple, streaked with the faint glow of dying satellites. Mira crouched in the attic of a crumbling tenement, her breath shallow, her fingers trembling as they traced the dials of the ancient radio. It was 2073, and the world had gone silent 3 years ago. No broadcasts, no signals, no voices. Just the endless hum of static and the occasional scream of wind through the skeletal city. She wasn't supposed to be here. The council had outlawed scavenging in the old districts, claiming the radiation was too high. But Mira knew better. The Geiger counter strapped to her wrist stayed quiet, its needle steady. The real danger wasn't radiation. It was the enforcers, their drones buzzing like wasps, ready to drag anyone caught tampering with pre-collapse tech back to the camps. Still, she couldn't stop. Not when the radio was her only link to something out there. Her father had taught her how to work the dials before he vanished. "Keep listening, Mira," he'd said, his voice rough with hope. Someone's still broadcasting. Someone's still alive. That was 5 years ago, before the collapse, before the skies darkened and the networks fell. Now, at 19, Mira was alone, her only companion the faint crackle of the radio. She adjusted the antenna, a makeshift rod of scavenged copper, and leaned closer. Static hissed then there. A pulse. Not random noise, but a rhythm. 3 short bursts, 3 long, 3 short. Morse code. SOS. Myra's heart slammed against her ribs. She scribbled the pattern on a scrap of paper, her pencil shaking. The signal faded, then returned stronger. She twisted the dial, locking onto the frequency. Words now, faint but clear, in a language she barely recognized. Not English, not the pidgin dialects of the camps. Something older, guttural. She caught fragments. Himmel, Verloren, Common. German, maybe. Her father had taught her a few words, relics of a world that traded stories across oceans. Himmel meant sky. Common meant come. But Verloren? She didn't know. Lost, maybe. The voice was desperate, pleading. Then it cut off, replaced by a low whine that made her teeth ache. She sat back, staring at the radio. The signal was gone, but it had been real. Someone was out there, beyond the city's edge, beyond the ash plains. The council said nothing existed past the perimeter. No survivors, no cities, just death. But the council lied. They'd lied about the food rations, the clean water, the safety of the camps. Why not this? Mira packed the radio into her satchel, careful not to jostle the fragile tubes. She had to move. The enforcers would have detected the signal too, their sensors always sniffing for rogue transmissions. She climbed down the tenement's rotting stairs, her boots silent on the warped wood, and slipped into the alley. The air smelled of rust and decay, the city a graveyard of steel and glass. The signal's coordinates pointed north, toward the Forbidden Zone. Nobody went there. Not scavengers, not even enforcers. The zone was where the old world's heart had stopped. Power plants, data hubs, all melted into slag during the collapse. But Mira had no choice. The voice, that desperate common, burned in her mind. She moved through the night, dodging drone patrols, her black cloak blending with the shadows. By dawn, she reached the zone's edge, a wasteland of twisted metal and cracked earth. The Geiger counter ticked faintly, not lethal, but enough to make her skin prickle. She pressed on, following the signal's faint echo in her memory. At midday, she found it. A bunker, half buried under rubble, its door rusted but intact. The radio in her satchel buzzed, picking up the same Morse code. SOS. She pried the door open, her crowbar screaming against the metal. Inside, darkness swallowed her, broken only by the glow of a single console. A man sat slumped before it, his face gaunt, his eyes wild. Du bist gekommen, he rasped. You came. Mira froze. He was old, older than anyone she'd seen, his skin like cracked parchment. Who are you? She asked, her voice barely a whisper. He smiled, teeth missing. Last of the Watchers. We kept the signals alive, waited for someone to hear. He gestured to the console, its screen flickering with maps, coordinates, cities she'd never heard of. Others are out there. Not many, but enough. Myra's throat tightened. The council, they said. Lies, he spat. They want control. But you heard. You came. He coughed, blood speckling his lips. Take it, he said, pushing a dated chip toward her. Find them. Rebuild. Before she could speak, his head slumped forward, breath gone. The console hummed, the signal still pulsing. Mira took the chip, her hands steady now. Outside, the sky was clearing, a faint star visible through the haze. She wasn't alone anymore. Thank you, amazing viewers. We're so grateful to you for listening to our story videos on English through stories. Your support for adventures like The Moth's Promise and The Bellmaker's Echo means the world to us. Keep learning English with us. More exciting stories are coming.